The Book of the Damned, by Charles Hoyfort, Chapter 12I, London Times, July 20th, 1836. That, early in July 1836, some boys were searching for rabbits' burrows in the rocky formation near Edinburgh, known as Arthur's Seat. In the side of the cliff, they came upon some thin sheets of slate, which they pulled out. Little cave, 17 tiny coffins, 3 or 4 inches long. In the coffins were miniature wooden figures. They were dressed differently both in style and material. There were 2 tiers of 8 coffins each, and a third tier begun with 1 coffin. The extraordinary datum, which has especially made mystery here, that the coffins had been deposited singly in the little cave, and at intervals of many years. In the first tier, the coffins were quite decayed, and the wrappings had mouldered away. In the second tier, the effects of age had not advanced so far, and the top coffin was quite recent looking. In the Proceedings of the Society of Antiquarians of Scotland, Series 3, Volume 12, page 460, there is a full account of this find. 3 of the coffins and 3 of the figures are pictured. So Elvera with its downy forests and its microscopic oyster shells, and if the Elverines be not very far advanced, they take baths with sponges the size of pin heads, or that catastrophes have occurred, that fragments of Elvera have fallen to this earth. In Popular Science, Volume 20, page 83, Francis Bingham, writing of the corals and sponges and shells and crinoids that Dr. Hahn had asserted that he had found in meteorites, says, judging by the photographs of them, that their notable peculiarity is their extreme smallness. The corals, for instance, are about 1/20th the size of terrestrial corals. They represent a veritable pygmy animal kingdom, says Bingham. The inhabitants of Monstrator and Elvera were primitives, I think, at the time of their occasional visits to this earth, though, of course, in a quasi-existence, anything that we semi-phantoms call evidence of anything may be just as good evidence of anything else. Logicians and detectives and dreaming and suspicious wives and members of the Royal Astronomical Society recognize this indeterminateness, but have the delusion that in the method of agreement there is final, or real evidence. The method is good enough for an existence that is only semi-real, but also it is the method of reasoning by which witches were burned, and by which ghosts have been feared. I'd not like to be so unadvanced as to deny witches and ghosts, but I do think that there never have been witches and ghosts like those of popular supposition. But stories of them have been supported by astonishing fabrications of details and of different accounts in agreement. So, if a giant left impressions of his bare feet in the ground, that is not to say that he was a primitive bulk of culture out taking the neat cure. So, if Stonehenge is a large, but only roughly geometric construction, the inattention to details by its builders signifies anything you please, ambitious dwarfs or giants, if giants, that they were little more than cavemen, or that they were post-impressionist architects from a very far advanced civilization. If there are other worlds, there are tutelary worlds, or that Kepler, for instance, could not have been absolutely wrong, that his notion of an angel assigned to push along and guide each planet may not be very acceptable, but that, abstractedly, or in the notion of a tutelary relation, we may find acceptance. Only to be is to be tutelary.